Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike here at the DRF Race of the Day for Friday, September the 15th, race number 8 at Aqueduct. It's the Belmont at the Big A meeting. We've got stakes action for you. The Winter Memories. Let's take a look at this field of 3-year-old fillies getting set to go 1 mile on the turf. $135,000 is the purse for this race, Mike, and it is a overflow field. 10 in the body of the race, 11 through 14 as also eligibles. The 15 Balpool, the 16 Ichiban, they are main track only. Mike, let's talk about the morning line favorite. That is the number 8, Tax Implications. An okay performance last time out in the Lake Placid. She's on a 4-race losing streak.
Yeah, so far hasn't really broken through since she scored pretty impressively on debut last September, Dan. She's run well in just about all of those races, despite not winning. We'll see if she goes favorite again. She was favored in the Lake Placid last time and couldn't get the job done. This is, obviously she's a real nice fit in here, Dan. She's going to be really, really tough in here with her good race, but trips are important to her, and she hasn't really gotten the best of it in a lot of her races.
We'll throw up the Timeform US pace projector for this 1-mile event. Our friends at Timeform US believes this race could favor front runners. They believe the 5 Silver Skillet can get up close to the pace. The 6 Sweet Lou's Got Aces has shown some speed in the past. And really the key to the race is whether the number 3 Sacred Wish, the runner-up of the Grade 1 Coaching Club American Oaks earlier this year, can handle turf. Because if she does, she can show speed, and she fits with these horses on her dirt form.
Yeah, she could show speed in this race as they try turf for the first time. It does kind of feel like Sweet Lou's Got Aces could be in a position here where they might want to use her speed again. We'll see if they decide to do that. Certainly Silver Skillet could be forward yet. She's exiting a very fast-paced race against New York, but she was off it that day, but she could be closer.
Tax Implications as the LP flag. That indicates she has the fastest Timeform US late pace figure. She's trained by Chad Brown, as is the number 1 Liguria. I thought Liguria did some good things 2 starts back in the Wild Applause over Firm Going. She was last on the rail turning into the stretch. She was able to get up to win. Last time out in the Lake George, kind of an even performance as the favorite. I don't know if she cared for the cut in the ground.
Yeah, I wonder if that's a valid excuse for her as well. I mean, she just sort of sat behind the 1-2 finishers who, 2 stablemates of hers around the track there. But when they took her clear at the top of the stretch, she just didn't really kick on that hard. So maybe she just didn't like the ground. Her prior effort was good. I thought she got a great ride from Irad that day, and he'll be back aboard for this race. Overall, her form is rock solid, and she can get any kind of a trip.
Brendan Walsh is having a sensational year with all of his horses. The 2 Bolivie pulled off a 4-1 victory in the Searching at Laurel last time out, going 1 mile and a 16th. She was last. She comes widest. She comes fastest.
I like this performance from her, Dan. This is your circuit, so maybe you're going to have more to add to this than I can. I just like the ride that she got in here, and I like the run that she puts in from the top of the stretch. It's going to be close at the end, but to me, she was clearly best in this race.
Patient ride against a solid field, blanket finish under the line, but you just get the feeling that this filly is getting better and better with each start. I do wonder if she needs a bit of a setup, and if that Blue Bar Timeform US pace projector holds true, maybe it works against her. Sacred Wish is the number 3, and she's multiple graded stakes placed on dirt for George Weaver, another trainer having a fantastic year. All right, she didn't fire last time out in the Alabama. She also had a terrible start, which really compromised her chances completely. Now they're running her on the turf, and I don't mind the Not This Times on turf. They do well on the surface. What do you think of this pedigree overall?
I just didn't really see any grass. I'm with you on the Not This Times. There are certain, progeny of his that can really handle the grass, so maybe it'll work wonders for this filly, Dan. There's not enough pedigree on the dam side to get me interested. I get it. She's run some good dirt races, although I'm not a big fan of hers on that surface either. And now she's worked pretty well, apparently, on the grass so far. She's not my kind of horse.
Following the Mid-Atlantic circuit, as I do, I've always been a fan of the 4 Nisi Marie, and she's coming out of a sort of a career-making performance at Parks. This is the Mrs. Penny Stakes for fellow Pennsylvania breds. And while she'll be taking a big step up in class on Friday, she looked good in this race. She made a prolonged move, and she just kept on sustaining.
Yeah, I like this performance too, Dan. A little bit of a different running style, but basically she has that one turf effort on soft ground where she didn't really perform. Otherwise, her turf form is rock solid. She's good winning this race. She is significantly up in class for this, but she might be okay.
Silver Skillet, the number 5, is a New York bred in excellent form for Christophe Clement. Showed some guts 2 starts back in that first level allowance race, tracking a loose leader, collaring that horse and going on to win. And then in the Susie O'Kane last time out, rated a little bit more from off the pace. We're going to see her split horses here in the stretch, but she gets away from this field pretty quickly.
Yeah, this pace was very solid in front of her, and she adapted to it very well. She just sat back. She got a really nice trip in this race, and she's going to run right by these horses inside the final furlong. She'll go to a wrong lead, but she's just moving away here. Another good performance, another step in the right direction. Really well connected. She clearly likes the grass, Dan.
Sweet Lou's Got Aces ran very well over this course last year. She won the Tepin in gate to wire fashion. And in her most recent start at Belmont, she was able to score from off the pace. So it's nice to know that she has that sort of versatility. Now, since that last race, the day after the Belmont Stakes, she went through the auction ring and she was bought for a pretty penny. Why not? A stakes winning daughter of Constitution. She's now with Graham Motion.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm not going to take anything away from her for that most recent win where she sort of found a way to do it, in a different sort of running style from just off the pace. I'm not thrilled with the field she beat that day, but she certainly ran okay. I feel like she's in really, really tough here, Dan, in her first start for New Connections.
The number 7 is Soviet Excess going out for trainer Todd Pletcher. You get the feeling she seems to be improving with each start. Here's her most recent race at Saratoga. It's the Grade 2 Lake Placid. Dylan Davis has her down on the inside, and she's going to angle off of the rail and into the stretch, and she's going to get into a little bit of a herding situation with our morning line favorite. Taps Implications is going to finish 4th, so I have to give this one some extra credit. She was really game to outfight Tax Implications for 3rd.
Yeah, it just feels like she's getting better every time Pletcher sends her out there. This is another really good performance. Now, she did get to save a lot of ground in that race, and it certainly worked to her advantage that the trip overall was a good one. But it was just another really good performance, Dan. 2 starts back when she was behind a couple of these, she was wide all the way around the track. She ran well there as well.
And I thought the trip was there for Tax Implications as well. You know she's going to be held up in the early part of the race. She was basically in the 2 pass. She eased out in the stretch. She had a look at it, and she was kind of just grinding along evenly. Again, a situation where maybe she didn't like the wet turf course, although she ran okay on it 2 starts back in the Lake George. She obviously has credentials being a multiple stakes placed performer. I'm not sure how low I would go on the tote, but 7-2 seems fair.
I agree with you. I feel the same way. I don't think I'd go too low on her as far as price goes, but I do think she's a major player in here. Listen, she earned a new top figure last time. I didn't think it was her best performance by any stretch. But that being said, she ran really well in the Lake George 2 starts back and might have been best that day. She ran really well in the Wild Applause off the layoff in June and was probably best that day, but she didn't win either of those races. Trips are really important to her, Dan. I'm not going to take a super short price on her, but I think she's the horse to beat.
On the 9, Juniper Marshmallow, Javier Castellano, Todd Pletcher. This horse won both starts as a 2-year-old, then went away for a long, long time. She came back in the Lake Placid. It was a really ambitious spot for a lightly raced filly coming off such a long layoff, and she just didn't run well at all. She was eased that day. Now, I'm not sure you blame the layoff for that, Mike. She had, she should have run better.
Yeah, listen, she had a lot working against her in that race. It was a really tough spot to come back in off of a long layoff. And then she got a wide trip, sort of chasing a pace that was not as slow as it looks on paper. And it says eased in there, Dan. I guess basically she was, but that margin is really exaggerated because by the time they got to the stretch, she was a beaten horse and Jose Ortiz just wrapped up on her and let her finish on her own. I don't really want to hold that race against her. She has a huge pedigree behind her. Her first 2 starts as a 2-year-old, which are both wins, she looked really, really good winning those races. I'm expecting a better performance here, and she better show up with one. This is another good field.
But the fact that Pletcher is running here, where he
Yeah.
could find another spot anywhere, I think is a major thumbs up for Juniper Marshmallow. The 10 is Lady Beth. This is a horse that ran 3rd in the Soaring Softly last time out. Her first race off a little bit of a layoff for Chad Brown. I thought she ran okay in that start, Mike. I thought her debut was okay over the synthetic at Gulfstream. I don't love that they debuted her on synth, though.
Yeah, maybe that's not a great sign either. I did think she looked pretty good winning first time out. That was a tough race to evaluate. She just sort of sat up on the pace with the runner up, easily handled that one, and nobody else did any running in that race. She ran fine in the Soaring Softly. The Soaring Softly is not my favorite stakes race that they ran at that spring summer meet at Belmont Park. I guess she ran okay in there. It's probably a positive that Chad runs her here, but she really does have to improve, and she's got to improve quite a bit.
14 on the also eligible list. I guess Life, Love, and Laughter. I really don't care too much for any of the AEs. That's a horse I might be interested in simply because she has some speed.
Of any of the AEs either. Live, Love, Laughter ran fine last time, but she didn't run as well as the winner of that race, who's also back in here.
Before we get to our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time for our Friday race of the day can go so many different ways in here. You've got the first time turf horse with Class Sacred Wish. You've got a couple of speeds that might be able to benefit from a slow pace. Plenty of chads. I like where you're going, however. You're going to be very forgiving for Juniper Marshmallow's last race, and you might be rewarded on the tote.
Yeah, I just want to stay positive on her, Dan, especially at this kind of a price. I really liked what I saw from her as a 2-year-old. There are plenty of excuses to be made for that Lake Placid last time. I think it's a good sign that she runs here. I'm going to give her the chance to bounce back in a big way here at a big price.
I wish I was as clever as you. I'm going to go with tax implications. I kind of know what I'm going to get. It's a useful, solid effort. It's all about whether I get the trip, and I can't take much less than 3-1. She's 7-2 on the morning line. Mike's going 9, 8, 1, and 2. I'm going 8, 7, 5, and 6 in the Winter Memories on Friday. The Belmont at the Big A meet. Good luck.